Uh, the was the big boy running out there a couple of days ago?
Yeah, it was.
Did you get a chance to see it?
No, I knew it was happening. I didn't put it on my calendar, so I spaced it out. I think it was Tuesday when in Denver, and either yesterday or this morning it went back to Cheyenne.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was seeing some videos of at Greeley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I saw a picture or two, and I mean that looks like a real madhouse. They
yeah, I think
they had
chasing.
people out there who were directing traffic and keeping people off the tracks, and and that's like on a
Yeah,
Tuesday morning.
yeah. I'm surprised. Um, yeah. Not, years ago, I was on a steam trip somewhere, and guy got killed. He was walking the tracks, had his back turned to and the train was coasting downhill and it nailed him.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. You remember? I'd have to think about this. The guy that um, I'll have to think about it for a second. His son died the same way, out photographing trains. It, he had the quality recording company and was putting stuff out on LP disc at the time. Um, anyway, that's how his son died too. So anyway, um, looks like you got quite a few people lined up.
Yeah.
Might get started.
Yep. Let's go. Who's got a question or something you want to talk about?
Go first. This is Steve Davis. Is my mic working?
It sure is.
Great. Good to talk to you again, Rodney. I'm enjoying. I took all your advice, and so I've had to go through the painstaking process of starting going all the way back to 4.14 of JMRI and upgrading a little bit at a time. And I'm seeming to be getting things to be working without any errors. Um, can you remind me if CATS supports transponding messages, or if not, has any tie-in to Panel Pro? So if a dispatcher, for example, places a train symbol on a dispatcher screen, or if the transponding message says that a train is in a place, that it will show up.
Yeah. Um, what you need to do is it does it via reporters. So I assume you're
Yeah.
using Digitrax transponding, right?
Yeah, I'm not literally using that technology because Digitrax transponding does not show the direction of the train, where Railcom, of course, as you know, I'm
Hmm.
sure does. And the second thing is, I found Digitrax transponding to be somewhat unreliable. It will sometimes place, and I don't know why, maybe it's just me, place a train in the wrong block. Um, and I don't know why it does that. So what I'm doing is I'm using RFID, but it's
Hmm.
coming out as a reporter message that includes the train number and the direction, any information I can put in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe I'm trying to remember somebody. Okay. Um, somebody had actually found a bug in the RFID reporting, but that was 2 or 3 years ago. And I fixed it and I haven't heard from him since. So I think it works. Um, thing to do is check the section in the manual on how to do it.
Okay, and you have a CATS part of your CATS manual dedicated to reporting locations.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll reread it. I don't hadn't remember seeing that. My
it,
bad there.
it's probably in the designer manual.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because it would tell you how to associate it. Okay, I'll reread it. I don't want to take the group's time up with my poor preparation for the call. Uh, but I did want to report back to you because you helped me quite a bit that, you know, we were seeing some weird errors that weren't related to cats and I'm not seeing them anymore. I mean, with your advice, I was able to get those out of there and get a much cleaner install going. And the timing is about right because as I think you know, we've only talked once every couple months, but um, I've got a railroad that's been operational for a number of years, since about 2008 or 10, and operating, and we've had operating events from, et cetera. But that is just one half of it now. I've added a second half. I've been working all week with a bunch of friends, and we finally joined the two into one contiguous layout, I think is the right word. Um, but only with bench work and most of the track. But this week I'm going to get the track finished. So now it's really important that I take my old cats panel that worked good with them, worked quite well with my original layout, and use the new diagram I've been creating that incorporates the entire thing, which is more than double. And that is why I'm getting such a resurgence of interest in it, because it will be a little bit of a plug. In Tulsa, we're having this layout design OPSIG event in March, second weekend of March. We moved it so it wouldn't conflict with Sound Rail or Bay Rail. And we have now, I need to get ready for that because I'm going to be I mean, one of my railroad's one of the layouts, and I need to be able to accommodate a lot of operators, which it's gonna need if we run both subs. So I'm in a race sort of to get this done. I mean, now March is a long ways off, but you guys know how time can pass if you let it pass.
Yeah, March isn't that far away. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, the stories of your expansion have come up here to Denver because we had Front Range Rail Invitational. What was it? 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks
Oh
ago,
yeah,
and there were people from Kansas City and was it Tulsa? I think it may have actually been Texas. Anyway, yeah, people were talking about what you've been doing. Um,
cool.
my okay, as you do this expansion, I strongly recommend you keep backup copies of stuff, particularly your current panel.
I could
So
not
you
agree more. In fact, the
okay,
problem is I'm so good about that I have too many and I can't always remember which one's which, except I look at the date.
yep,
So only but yes, sir, that's wisdom right there.
yep. You know what you could do, it's possible, if you want to reduce the number down and you want to go the extra step, you could put them up on something like GitHub or something like that, and then you just save it and you'll put a comment in as to what changed, and then it'll keep a history of all the changes that you've made, and you can go back
That's a good
and
idea.
get
That is a good idea.
because
Okay.
it's a it's an XML file, so
Right.
that's basically text. So you can run diffs on it, and it'll, like I say, keep a history.
I had never thought of using that as a tool. Of course, I do use it for any programming, which I don't do much of.
Hmm.
I used to do some. So that's a wonderful idea. Thank you, Rodney.
Yep, you're welcome.
Hey, Steve, Rodney Kotorski here. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay. Hey, I was just wondering, you're talking about expanding your the cat screen, of course, with the railroad and that. Are you going to have multiple screens? Is that what you're planning on for the layout, or what?
Well, I used to have multiple screens, but what I now have is a really big screen. And Cats also does have this feature that it'll word wrap. My original design, but I'll be honest, I haven't finished the whole panel yet. That's partly why I'm so active on this. If it doesn't fit, then yeah, I will. But right now, the idea is to have it on one screen, but it'll be multiple lines, like John Parker's. I mean, I don't, you guys have either seen his or just you've seen some. So even though right now it's a single line diagram with staging art on each end, I'll have multiple rows. I think it will fit.
Okay. I was just wondering how you're going to do that when you're talking about a big expansion.
Oh, it's big. It's more than double than what I have now. You're absolutely right. And I've drawn it and I've done, and I started actually creating the panel, Rodney, and the only thing was I started to have some problems. It wouldn't load and stuff, and uh, that brought me to this call series because it turned out that to run the newest version of Cats, I needed to go up to JMRI 3 something. Oh, not 3.5, excuse my ignorance here. And I was running 4.14, so I had to make a bunch of jumps, and then that caused things to not work. And so I can design the panel, but I can't really run it under JMRI to where it would actually function. Not yet. I'm there. I'm almost there. I'm still going through the laborious upgrade path because if you haven't been through this, and my problem is I can't just start it. I could, but I choose not to just start from scratch because I've been operating for more than 10 years with cats, and I got a lot of files and I don't want to recreate all that. So I have to, there's a sequence, and we had one of the guys on from JMRI on this call one of the years. I was like Kent Cameron, I think it
Yep.
was. Ken
Yep.
Cameron, and he gave me the specific walkthrough that if you have 414, you gotta, and you can learn all this from the JMRI website. So forgetting cats for a moment, just JMRI, you can't just say, okay, I'm gonna install the latest JMRI, I'm up and running. That's great if you don't have anything in JMRI, you're just starting from scratch. And that's how I did start, but then none of my old stuff would work. So what I had to do was start at 414, then upgrade with to the next one, which I think was 418. I'm not going to remember them all, but there was a specific number of steps. You had to install to that, start it, make sure it ran, save it. Then you could upgrade again, and you kept going through that process until you finally got to the version you needed to hit. That make any sense? So I don't. Some people have told me that I need two dispatchers, and I'll be honest with you. If I were, I like to be prototypical, and on the prototype in 1982, which I'm modeling, the layout I have is the third sub, and the new layout's the second sub. It would have had two different dispatchers, but I've opted, at least initially, not to do that. Partly because just the complexity, two different people, two different rooms, too much noise, and the operators would then have to change radio channels when they went to. It's kind of fun. I get that. I can see the sort of gameplay of that, but I can't speak for the experience of your operators, but there are some who are really great operators but aren't real technical savvy, and they have trouble turning on the radio, much less changing channels. And I'm not saying that to be facetious. It's people that will try and turn up the volume, but they'll change the channel, and now they're all befuddled because they can't hear anything because they're on the wrong channel. It does happen.
That happens in the prototype, by the way.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I
But not
haven't
that
really decided.
you want to
Go
try
ahead.
and avoid it. I'm a locomotive engineer, and I've ended up on the wrong channel because we got at CSX we have to call the dispatcher on one channel and we monitor another, which all the hot box detectors are and all the crews and whatever. And I've forgotten quite often to switch back to the main channel. Even missed hot box detector message on occasion. So it does
I
happen.
really
So,
never thought of that. So they're not on the same frequency as the dispatcher
Right.
is? Wow.
No, they're not because what it is on CSX chooses is they have a dispatcher call-in channel, and it's the main channel you talk to dispatcher on. Now, the dispatcher capability of jumping on the main channel that's monitored, and this is the way they do it all over the system. So there's two channels in every location, and one you're supposed to monitor, and a dispatcher channel. So if you want to call the dispatcher, you got to go to his channel and tone him up. And or if he wants to call you, he can just jump over on the monitor channel and call you. And he has the option to monitor that too, but they overload the territory so much that there'll be too much to listen to.
I
So
can imagine.
I don't know what, yeah, because like we have one dispatcher. I'm in the Buffalo, New York area, and
Oh,
they
cool.
it's a crazy setup. They have one dispatcher that runs all the way from Buffalo, New York to a place called Greenwich, Ohio, which is southwest
Holy
of
mackerel.
Cleveland by about 60
No, that's a
miles.
big
And
territory.
it's insane. I don't even know how. Yeah, I don't even know how they can do it because I was a dispatcher back in the 80s, 1980s, and it's just like I don't know. I mean, it seems like they lose track and they lose quality because the guys can't do any planning. So, but I mean, we went off on a tangent there, but that's what goes on there.
No, that's good to know
So,
from a prototype engineer and dispatcher. Your knowledge is extremely valuable to me. So I'm gonna be quite honest. I'm gonna be putting this all together, and we're just gonna see what works. If I need to have the two dispatchers because it's too much workload or something else, then that is what I'll do. I'm gonna try the KISS principle. I'm gonna try and put it all on one big screen. And just having looked at the number of sightings and meeting points and diamonds and stuff that I have, it's not more in quantity than John Parker's BNSF Fall River division, and that is done by one dispatcher. I've personally dispatched it, so I think it's workable. We'll see.
well, but I just sort of one piece of advice from a train dispatcher standpoint. Uh, a linear layout, if you can add multiple screens or whatever, is much easier to pick up on and read and where things are at, I believe, than stacking it. Because stacking it, what they end up doing is losing it in the gaps if it's too busy, losing the trains in the gaps. This happens on the prototype on CSX all the time, where they forget to line up the next signal because it's on one level from another, and it's not conducive to
Oh,
the human mind to just
so
scan
you're
it.
saying what I should do is have multiple monitors, but still just one line is the whole length of the line,
Well,
like an
I would
old CTC panel.
correct, correct. So I'm
Okay.
saying you could have my buddy Rob Ball's on here right now, and he just got multiple monitors at home put in, and he was able to assemble that pretty good. And
Yeah,
you
well,
don't
I
need
don't need
necessarily
advice
need
on that. I've
expensive
already got
monitors.
5 monitors in there. I just wasn't using it that way. So no worries there.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if you just assemble them, if you had 5 of them, I mean, ideally you'd want to assemble them end to end right across if you
No,
could
yeah,
do
and
it,
I
and
and
then
I
and
don't
then
have it
then
like
line
that
up the
now, but
panels.
I see what you're saying. Sure. I mean,
Because
right
then you
now
pick up on train movements a lot better.
I gotcha. I'll do it because right now you're right. The way I dispatch mine is I have this really big. It's like 2 monitors in one. It's uh, I don't know the measurements. I had to get a tape measure out, and I'm sitting in my room. I don't have it, but it's like 2 monitors. It's double wide, but the normal height. So the one I have is like 2 monitors. It's the same height as one monitor, but it's as wide as two. I think it's a Samsung. I bought it specifically for that purpose. And so I have my whole territory as it is today in one line. So I could have another couple more monitors on the end of that. It's just going to be a long row. Or what I might do is just have one other line and it would be the whole second sub, me if I can fit it. But thank you. That's good to think about. I hadn't considered that, Rodney. So I appreciate it. That's good advice.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, I would guess, let's say, if it was too long, from end to end, you can't focus on one area because you're sitting close to the monitor. So I know that Lehigh and Keystone had that problem where they had 7 monitors right across, and since it was all on desk level, you have this heavier head spinning back and forth, which is another problem. The prototypes years ago in the 70s and all that would have the monitor on the wall basically away from you, so your peripheral vision picks up the whole thing instead of close in. If you understand what I'm saying, if the closer the monitor is, the more you got to spin your head, and the further away it is, but you got to have it close enough to work with it, unless you oversize fonts or something like that. But that's just something to consider too.
Hey, Steve, what version have you moved up to on JMRI now?
Did we lose him?
I think we lost him. At least I don't see him anymore. Maybe he got so excited he decided to start doing, some things he wanted to implement right now.
I I'm yeah, he doesn't, let's see, he doesn't show on there anymore. It's the Rob Ball shows on here and your brother does too.
Yep. So how are things in Syracuse?
He'll he'll probably come back in.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. So
In
yeah, how are things?
Buffalo?
Or Buffalo, I'm sorry. Yeah, Buffalo.
Monitoring, or
What's that?
he was gonna ask a couple questions, Rob Ball was. I don't know if he's listening or
Oh,
not.
I'm here, Rod.
Okay, okay,
No,
Rodney was asking how things are going.
no, we're doing all right. We're doing all right. If you remember our discussion from 2 months ago, you were working on moving turnouts. You were having issues with that. Have you worked on any of that in the meantime?
I've been thinking about it, but I have not had time to actually put any thoughts and stuff on paper yet.
Okay,
It's been a last couple of months been crazy.
no, I hear you.
Yeah, we're doing good. Which one did you? Rob? What did you? You upgraded stuff a couple days ago. Which one did you go to? Just clean it up and everything worked
5.10.
good? Okay.
We were at 5.4, Rodney, black that is, and I incrementally upgraded to 5.6 and then 5.8 and then 5.10, and everything's working correctly.
Excellent, good to hear. Because after our last discussion with Steve Davis, I upgraded my system to 510 JMRI, and it looked like everything worked, but I didn't stress it heavily at all. I'm not
Yeah.
hooked up to a layout or anything, so I just tried
Okay.
a few things and nothing crashed.
Okay. Yeah. No, I got it on our layout and put it in CTC mode and everything loaded correctly, and I was throwing switches, aligning signals, and everything worked well. So it was an interesting conversation you had with Steve last month, because he sounded like there was a couple issues with 5.12. So I didn't go that far putting 5.12 in there yet. I'm just going to leave it at 10 until, if there's issues, you're able to take care of them.
Just a second, I may actually have gone up to 512. I'm going to check it here
Okay.
real quick. Yeah, I'm actually trying. I upgraded to 512 on my home system, and
Okay.
like I say, it looked like it worked okay.
Okay. Yeah, just listening to Steve there last month, I was a little hesitant on going that far with it for now. You had said 5.10 was stable with cats, so I figured go that far and see if it worked, which it did. So
And I'm just saying hi. I dropped on, it was an internet service provider problem, and I'm back. I'll go back on mute, but sorry I missed some of it, but I'm back on.
I got a couple more questions for you, Steve.
It's okay, Steve. We were just
yeah,
wondering
go
where
ahead,
you went.
Steve. We were just discussing a couple of different
No, you
things.
said
Yeah.
you upgraded to 5 to JMRI 5.12. Is that what you just said?
Rodney did. We're at 5.10.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm at now.
Yeah, and everything worked well on cats. With our layout.
Good.
So just as a test or whatever, everything was good there. So at least ours is working well with it. Hopefully, everybody else's is too.
All right. Yeah, Rodney Black, did you have a question for me? You
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
sir?
Then you kind of answered it. You said you're on 510, because I was going to suggest, I know what a pain it is to go through those steps. And I was going to say, that the Cats 3 works on Jamrai 4.26 still. So
Okay, well,
that's all the farther you had to go.
all right, but it's good to know it could work on 12 because there's some other features I actually like unrelated to cats that anyway, yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, because I was looking last time I was at John Parker's, I was
And
looking
I
at,
actually I misinformed you. I am on 512. I just started Panel Pro to confirm. It is 512. Sorry. So it's the same as the other two guys.
okay, yeah, they're on 510. And after we had our discussion last month, I upgraded my home system to 512 and I didn't stress it very hard, but it looked like it worked. So if you, um, it's good to know if you have any problems on 512, let us know. Otherwise,
Yeah. So before I say I do or don't, I know I'm confusing everybody, so I'll try and do this and then I'll shut up. Down in the actual building where I run my layout is a computer, well, more than one, but there's a main dispatcher computer, and that computer is still running 4.14 with the original cats. But upstairs in my office where I'm speaking to you now in my house, I'm running 5.12, and I use that to create a new panel profile of my entire layout. But what I'm going to do is take the old 4.4.
sounds like your service provider is acting up again.
Oh no, I'm sorry, guys. Well, I'll go on quiet and you guys go
No,
without me, and I'll do the best I can.
no. Keep going. Now we want to hear this.
So, well, you said I was cutting out, and that, I don't know what my problem is. It does happen. Um, yeah. Okay. So I have a 4.14 down in the building where I actually operate, and it works and it runs the older cats and everything's great and everybody's happy and it's very reliable. And upstairs, I've created a new panel just for the new sub only. I haven't joined them yet, and it seems to be working. And so what I hope to do now, because I operated for the last time at the end of September, and now that it's October, I've made the join between the two subs, which means I can't run all the way over the third sub without also going over the new second sub. So I'm going to be down for a few months. And during that time, I'm going to sit there and painstakingly keep updating JMRI. And to your point, Rodney, then I may pause. What I'm going to write this down. Did you say 4.26 or which four?
4.26.
Okay, at least I kept a good note. 4.26. I may just go that far and see how it works. Um, and but I may want to go all the way up to 512 because then the files I've created on that, which is really just a panel file, will work. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because John Parker's on when I was over there last, I checked, he's
Yeah.
on GMI 426
Oh,
and
that's what he's on?
yeah,
Good.
and Java, I want to say maybe even 8. And I think he's on Windows 7.
Oh, hey, I couldn't get on Windows 7. I don't know how you would, but where you
Yeah.
get a
But
license, but okay.
the point is it goes back that far.
Good.
And when
Oh,
I've told him, I've asked him, I said, "Do you want to upgrade?" And he says it works. So
yeah,
don't touch
I'm
it.
like that. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But right now it is broke, so I need to fix it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Rodney, if
Okay.
Steve was gonna combine his two desks, which I know you can do, like two separate files, would he have to upgrade the old file from JMRI 4.14 up to 5.12, or is it actually compatible that way?
Okay, cats can go back to 4.26. That's the minimum level of JMRI.
Okay, so if he went to 4.26 and then the second sub was on 5.12, he could have two desks going with two different versions of JMRI then, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay, I figured he wouldn't ask that, and it came to my mind to ask that.
yeah.
So that was something I was just wondering about.
I had no idea. That's a good question. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, no problem. It had me wondering too, because I'm thinking to myself, if you didn't have the second sub combined into the third sub on one CATS file, you could still run the whole layout, under
Never thought of
CTC
that.
conditions. So just
Sure.
a thought that popped into my head.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna hedge there a little on that, because the connection between the two, in your case, Steve, would be using there's LocalNet over TCP. GMRI supports LocalNet over TCP, or there's another LocalNet thing in JMRI. And if those are compatible, then yeah, you're okay. I just don't know if they're compatible or not.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand. You mean just in order to hook up the hardware?
No, yeah, okay. Yeah, that would be one way.
Well, because here's what I'm doing now. I've got, I'm not going to run two separate computers with two different versions of Jammer. I mean, that was
Oh,
a good question for Rob to ask if that was possible, but that isn't why I hope to do it.
okay, actually, I'm thinking about this over again. And yeah, you could, Cats talks to themselves using the train stat message stuff, I think.
And I am running train stat. I
Yeah,
have screens in my yard so everybody knows what's coming where. I love that addition. No, people don't brag about it enough. They all talk about the CATS CTC system, but the train stat is very valuable, I think.
yeah. Yeah, actually, it may, okay, but yeah, we were all focusing on if you had to run two computers.
I'm going to make these all work and I'll make them work on 4.26. That'll be my first. I don't know that I'll have it ready for next month's call, but that'll be my goal is to
Mhm.
get something I can report out on.
Yeah, now your procedure that you have described is probably the best way of doing things. Um, in other words, what I would do in your situation, um, okay, first of all, you can do the linear thing because that's what we do on Pat Lannis. He's got two monitors, and we run the one line across that spans both monitors, so that that
Okay,
works beautifully.
good.
Cats doesn't even know that; it just thinks you got a super large monitor, and we let
Right.
Windows handle it all.
That's beautiful.
But what you could do if you find out that you want to break it into two different cats things, um, you could grab one and you can copy your cats file and then chop off the left hand on one and the right hand on the other. So I mean, in 5-10 minutes, you can take two screens or two desks, if that's what you want to call them, that are combined in one and make them separate.
Let me see if I understood that. That went by fast and I'm not sure I
Yep.
absorbed it.
Yep.
Um, how do you cut things? I mean, it's all just an XML file. So how do you cut it off? It's not a graphic thing you're talking about. You're talking about finding the line in
Nope.
the.
What I'm talking about is in Designer. In Designer, you're gonna create it, and it's gonna be one long line in Designer.
I see.
Okay, so you pick let's say you want to cut off the left hand half of it. So you put your cursor in the up left corner and you
Uh-huh.
just start scrolling to the right till you find the break point where you want to cut it, and hold down the shift key and
Right.
hit select,
X.
yeah,
Yeah.
hit that corner, and they'll highlight all those squares in red. And
Okay.
then you go under the edit and just say delete, or I forget what the command is, but yeah,
Right.
and that gets rid of it, and then save the file.
Okay. I understand.
And then you do the same thing on the right hand side, and then
Okay.
you'll have two files, and then one of them will have to be the master, so the other one you've got to set something up, and
Oh, you're still talking about the two different dispatchers concept.
yes,
Okay. I'm hoping not to do that, but if I have
right.
to, that is what I'll do.
What I'm trying to assure you is that um, if you do have to do it, it should be a fairly simple operation. It shouldn't be like you have to rewrite everything or anything like that.
Okay, well, here's what I have been thinking about doing, but I don't know how it's possible. I've now created a cat's panel for the new subdivision, but I don't see any way, maybe you can tell me a way, to open another one so I could copy my old layout onto the new. I don't think that's possible.
It is. And
Okay, tell me how.
okay, so what you do is, let's say um you want to put okay, so take the right hand side, so to speak. Got it? And do
Yes,
the
sir.
same thing with selecting all the cells. In the
Right.
upper left corner, select it, then go all the way over to the lower right hand corner. So and hold down the shift key and select that. That turns them all red, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then under edit, hit copy. Okay.
Yes.
Then open up, just say under, excuse me, under file, then open your other panel. And
Oh, it'll keep that in clipboard memory with it when you're opening a different file?
you got it. And so
I had
then go
no
way
idea.
over to the right hand side and do a paste. But make sure you know that you put the lines in the right places. So in other words, when you cut it, you want to cut it such that the track will be continuous going.
Oh, buddy, that'll save me
It,
a lot of trouble.
it's like copy to clipboard then, Rodney.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that you could do that either. That's pretty slick.
It is slick.
That might possibly help us, Rob.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Well, I hate to
that's
think I might have helped somebody else.
Well, because Rob and I have large discussions about all the stuff we want to do, and we wanted to have that's one subject. Rob, we could ask Rodney. Rob, you would probably be more technical, but having two types of displays at the same time. Did we talk about that before, or no? I don't think that's
no,
possible.
we've never asked them directly about it.
Because we
See if you could explain it to him. You'll explain it better than me.
okay. We talked about a linear design of having like three screens with the railroad stretched out and having one design, one of those types of designs. Okay, so it's all contiguous from screen to screen. But we'd like an overview where we could just have a different arrangement, just make up a whole nother one and copy, have the duplicate information go in there as an overview. Is if you understand what I'm saying, if that's possible. So well, you'd have one screen that the actual dispatcher would control is a linear three screens, but have another screen that's an overview that shows the entire railroad on one screen that's more compressed or, a lot of details left out. Can we have two like that at once or no? If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Maybe you
I
don't.
hear what you're talking about is, I guess in the Digicon world, they used to call them a region view and a territory view, I think. And you could zoom in and out by flipping between them. Um, no, no,
No.
I can't think of right offhand. I can't think of a way of doing that.
Okay. So
What you'd have to do, I mean, you could. There's no reason why you couldn't put them all on the same screen. In other words, one that's compressed with stuff left off of it. You'd have to redraw it. But
right.
but things would actually, I think things would duplicate okay. Um, yeah, it takes some playing around. You might actually be able to do it.
Okay, well, because like let's for example, like on Lehigh and Keystone, they have the dispatcher screens. I believe there's 5 of them now that they use or something of that nature. And one of the screens is duplicated in another area where they have a yard and people are congregating so they can look at the trains approaching the yard, which makes sense. But Rob and I were discussing, could we have just an overview two separate displays, basically what goes on. One that the dispatcher would look at with 3 screens, and another overview display that could be displayed somewhere else showing the entire railroad at the same time, just having no controls for it, but just an overview of what's going on. And I didn't know, that's probably is, sounds a little difficult to do. That's all.
Okay. And the answer is maybe, maybe not.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
The
so
reason
Randy, sorry.
go ahead.
No, I had an idea because you had, I thought maybe talked about a way that you could duplicate a part of a territory or something. It was for having two different dispatchers and handing them off, and one person was running one version of Cats on his own machine, and the other one was running another on his own machine, and then there was an area that overlapped so that the information was shared across both machines, but each dispatcher could only control their own territory plus one, I guess, kind of shared trackage area. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah,
All
you
right.
have it
So let me
exactly right.
ask if that could be extended, and probably not. But what I was thinking of, because I like the idea, because what I have train staff, but it'd be really cool to put in all the yards one single screen that just showed, like Rob was saying, where all the trains are in a visual way, and they wouldn't interact with it. So I wondered if you could create a separate screen and it would show everything on the main panel, even though the main panel was formatted differently because it'd be driven by a whole different computer, but it would get its data from whatever system you're using now to connect the two subs or the two screens. I mean, is that even
Okay.
a
Yeah.
possibility?
Steve, did you, when you were at John Parker's, did you go into the traffic center?
Did, but not enough to look really carefully at it. But tell me about that.
Okay. The traffic center, this is what some people used to
Well,
call the
I've been,
mole.
yeah. Oh, you can tell them. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. This is what some people used to call the mole. In other words, we do active staging. It's where all the staging occurs, and the traffic manager is the guy who runs JNMI operations, and he prints out switch lists and assigns trains and all that kind of stuff. So we've offloaded that aspect of the model of the railroading industry. Okay, he wants to know what's coming, and he wants to know where the trains are, so he knows when crews are going to free up and stuff like that. What John did was very easy, and it didn't involve cats at all. All he did was he just shadowed the dispatcher's screen in the traffic center. In other words, it just shows it's a duplicate of the dispatcher screen, but you can't click on anything. And this is all networked together.
Okay, so use like a VNC or something, but didn't give controls, a passive VNC maybe.
Yeah,
Or you just shared out the monitor.
yes, yes.
The
Call it a
problem with
passive
that,
VNC.
I mean, I could do that. The trouble with that from Rob's point of view, and not to speak for you, Rob, but is if the dispatcher's looking at three screens, and I don't want to put three screens in every yard, then that monitor sharing doesn't work. So that's why we're looking for a different format for sort of the observer's dispatcher panel, if I could call it that, versus the dispatcher's dispatcher panel.
Correct. You're
Yeah.
spot on, Steve. It's exactly what I was going to ask him. So you're right on.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would look to see if there's some type of um, uh, a screen shadow program that would let you pick out areas, for example, of the main screen that you want pushed out to the remote site. Yeah, I agree. If you're trying to get the whole thing, would require 3 monitors at the remote site. But maybe there's some type of screen sharing program that would let you pick out just pieces of the main screen and shadow them out there. I don't know.
Fair enough. Thanks for at least trying to field the question.
Sounds like we got some testing to do there, Kantorski, when we get to that point.
Yeah, I can see that right now because Rob and I have been talking left and right about ultimate, because we're about I would say we're somewhere in the vicinity of 1 year away from having everything in service signal wise, and then we can actually start operating with CTC. We can't really do it right now the way the layout operates. We always test cats as we move along, but then we switch it back to ABS because we're under LCC. So, the signals just work under ABS. But we've been discussing that we would like an overview screen one way, like there's a 40-inch monitor in the layout room, and we want to throw that up there in what we call an S format, meaning that what you guys are talking about, just different levels, is what the prototype calls a Z format. And an S format, the track diagram is all contiguous, but it's like S like a noodle, right around. Obviously, the middle of the railroad then would be upside down from north and south or east and west, whatever you're modeling. But
Yeah, here, Rod. Here, hold on,
Yeah.
let me flip my video.
Yeah,
I see
it.
Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Yeah,
Okay.
like that's what we want the observer to see. And then obviously, if I go back, you can see all three of my monitors. And then obviously, the dispatchers would just go straight across like that. That's ideally what we would like to do.
And yeah, the screen you got up there now would be the observer screen.
Correct.
Go ahead, Steve. You got your hand up, or
No, I was just clap.
oh, that was
Clapping.
clap.
I put up the clap emoji because he was expressing what I was looking for so well.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what you're trying to do there. You might be able to create a another CATS panel, and I don't and it should be able to basically monitor or track the layout activities of the original. And if you could somehow remote that, then such that the people, the observers, can't change anything.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just now thinking if you ran another computer with its own version of CATS with its own different screen, it would see everything, signal aspects and stuff, provided those things were being communicated over something like LCC or whatever method. So actually, I think that a second CATS, and you just wouldn't give them a keyboard, to do anything. That could be a way to go about it. I don't know about the assigning train numbers, and that's kind of where I was going. Is if sometimes a train will get built by the yard, so it doesn't come out of staging, so CATS doesn't know what it is, and of course CATS makes that very easy. You just right click, position train, and select it. And so the piece I'd want to figure out is how to get that to also mirror to the second screen. Maybe if you made a global memory variable and it could read it, but I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
No, no. Well, that's how CATS supports two desks. We talked about the overlap area.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens is, and using train stat, so the way you pass a train from one desk to the other is through train stat, because the one CATS will say something to the extent of the train is now in this block. And when it's in the shared block, then the second desk sees that it's there through the train stat protocol and positions the label there. And
Ooh,
then
now
as it moves
okay.
across the second block at the second desk, then it's no longer in the first desk, and he doesn't know about the blocks, so he it's basically off his screen. So I think the getting the labels up, somebody puts them up, and then everybody sees them as they move along.
And train set kind of does that, and is it doing it with memory variables, or how is
Nope,
it doing?
it's doing it there. The train stat program talks to the CATS program over, if you get into the networking stuff, through a TCP IP connection. And so CATS is constantly telling all of the train stat clients, it's updating them on on where a train is, what block it's in, who the engineer is, and all that kind of stuff. So that's going over a TCP/IP connection to and the train stat program can be running on the same machine as CATS is.
In fact, that's how I do it.
That's how you do it. And by the same token, you can we on Pat's layout, we had the train master who was running operations has a version of train stat running, so he can see where they're at. And the 2 yards each had a computer which was also running train stat, and they could see where the trains were.
And I'm
So
doing that now, just FYI, but only with train stats. So I think we're looking, could it jump to a graphic display? But I love that. Thank you for elaborating on that.
yeah, and furthermore, then the the train master on Pat's layout can assign crew and terminate trains and stuff like that. And so train stat then tells CATS this the crew has changed here. So there's a two-way communication going back and forth.
Very cool.
And it's all TCP/IP based. So if you've got an internet quote unquote connection between your computers, you can make it work.
Yep. And in my case, I do. And like I say, I do have several train stat clients, and the one train stat master runs on the one that the PC that's running CATS, and that's the PC that's running JMRI also.
Right.
Run me up to date. This train stat you guys are talking about, is that a GMRI thing or?
No, it's something I wrote for, and it's not part of the CATS program, but if you go to the CATS website, you'll see on downloads, there's two things. There's CATS and there's another one called Train Stats. So you get it off of the CATS website.
Oh, okay. We never tampered with that, did we, Rob?
No, we've never done anything with it.
Okay, all right. I just was wondering. Okay,
Might be something to look into. I mean, I'm looking on the page for that right now.
well,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can actually customize. One of the things I like about it is each client, even though they all run off the same data, can run a different file which shows different trains in different colors, for just an example. So the way I use it, and I'm sure it might be applicable to you, is let's just say you have 3 main yards. Well, the trains that work in yard A, those are all in red or yellow or something bright if you're in yard A, but if you're in yard B, the ones that are in a bright color are the ones that work yard B, et cetera, et cetera. And so they can see the trains and they can assign crews and they can see who the crew is if it's an inbound train. So I love it. It's the next best thing since it's not as good as CATS itself, but it's the next best thing.
Yeah, if you look at it, the quote tables are identical. In other words, they all have the same information in it and the same columns and the same rows and all that stuff. But you can put a file on each computer which talks about how to customize them. And yeah, we do this. We do the same thing on PATS. If we've got it, for example, when we run it, we don't always run it, but one of his yards will have red, for example, the trains that come in, and then all the and bold and bigger font, and all the rest of the trains will be a lowercase and a less bright font. So the yard master only needs to look at he'll see all the trains, but the ones that he services will be in a font and stuff that get his attention. And then the other yard, different trains have the bright bold font, and the trains that he's not interested in are less appearance wise.
okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the manual for that now. It looks pretty interesting. I'll have to give this a read and see if
And the display is just it's not graphic. It's just a type display. Just and that is that what I'm envisioning?
No, it's a graphical table. Um, it's a, so it's tabular and it's got column headings and stuff like that. And you do need a graphical interface.
Okay,
But it runs Java. And I think this can take really old Javas. I'm sure it'll run with Java 8 and it'll run with newer stuff too.
definitely something we will look into at least, you know, because but see what we can incorporate. But the main thing is that the thing with discussion was just having an overview display of cats in a different format than what the dispatcher's looking at to look at it. That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Rodney,
Yeah.
can you have two different instances of cats open at the same time on the same computer?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so. I was thinking, um, if you have, what do they call it here? I'm a total brain fart. What is that? Docking station for 4 monitors, and we would have our 40-inch screen into the docking station along with the 3 monitors for that the dispatcher would use, that you could interface like them together and use the same JMRI info on both instances of cats. But obviously, if you can't have two instances of cats open, then it's pretty much undoable that way.
Yeah. The reason there is because the first thing that CATS does is it launches a JMRI so that you don't.
Right,
Right.
right.
Okay. And you can only have one instance of JMRI. To my knowledge, you can have only one instance of JMRI running on a computer.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. So that makes sense then. Okay.
But now when we talk about TrainStat, that's its own individual program. It uses its own individual Java virtual machine and stuff like that. So you could run 2 or 3 of those on the same computer if you wanted to.
Okay. That's good to know.
You know, Rob, you know how we have on the CLCT, we got the track displayed in 2 spots. You know, that taken to the extreme, can you duplicate another layout somewhere on another screen or no? You know what I'm saying, Rob?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Uh, you know, Rodney, on the layout, you know, we have the option of going continuous, and when
Mm,
Rob put the catch panel together, at the far end of the railroad, we have a track occupancy circuit, and it's duplicated at the other end of the panel in 2 spots, and it lights up. Now, it just seems to me like you could almost create. I don't know. I'm not good at this, but it probably like a big enough file where it views part of it or something like. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know.
Yeah, but you guys want the compressed screen. I think you could. What all do you want on it? I'm occupancy, of course. Train labels moving, of course. Um, yeah, that would be tough getting the train labels to duplicate.
yeah,
That looks,
here, I don't know can you see my video?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, there, from here, and then it goes up over to here. It's the same block.
yeah, yeah. Well,
That's what we're doing there.
yeah, well, that's easy. I mean, because you just
Yeah,
use the same JMRI decoder detector.
right. Yeah, use the same username.
Yeah,
At least the way we do it. Yeah, the
yeah,
same username.
yeah.
Uh, You you see what I'm driving at there, though. You know, it's just like if you could type out a whole nother layout that only there's only one version of Cat's running, but one screen has the overview on it, while the other one has all the 3 dispatcher monitors, and it's just duplicating all the pieces of it onto another screen.
Yeah. I think it would be easier to go with because of the JMRI limitation of one instance running on a computer.
Yeah.
It'd be easier to go with something like run your compressed screen off of a Raspberry Pi or one of these inexpensive Windows machines or something like that. And run
Okay.
Jammer and Cats on the in kind of a shadow type mode on the cheapy computer, or an old laptop, or some old computer.
Right. It gets a little involved there. I guess we just got to make sure we get the main one working, and then get the main version working, and then go from there. Because see, Rob and I've talked about just two versions of Cats, not open simultaneously, but choose the file you want to go to. I would assume that's easy enough, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because so we'd have one with our S format, and the other one with the linear format with multiple screens. So, but we wanted the idea is just to have it displayed on the S format as an overview. But I mean, if we want to have a remote session, most people just have one computer display. We'd have the S format, so we could sort of like team view the dispatcher screen and run it remote if we wanted to.
yeah.
I just had an inspiration sort of from what you said about how train stat works. Let me run this by you, Rodney Black, got two Rodneys, and see if this could even work. I don't know if it can. What if the Raspberry Pi is what got me thinking. What if I had a Raspberry Pi in the yard running Cats and running train stat? And now I've got my master computer, if you want to call it that, in the dispatcher's office running its own instance of Cats, and it's the server for train stat. Would that then mean that that version of Cats that the yard sees would display on its layout that we would design separate, and it would know where the trains are because of the train stat relationship?
Yes.
Well, that solves my problem. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I believe that. I think that, yeah, that should do it.
That would probably work for us too, Rod.
Yep.
That would probably be the way to do it, is to have the 40-inch TV hooked up to a Raspberry Pi like that, and use the network to connect, and whatnot. Yeah, that'd be a way to do it.
Yeah, I've heard the term Raspberry Pi quite a bit. Run me up to date exactly what that is. Just a small computer or what?
Yeah. So it's a computer about the size of a pack of cards.
Really?
That's about
Okay.
$50.
Yeah, I have one that runs my audio feed that goes out to Broadcastify.
Well,
That's what runs
so
it.
okay. I'm glad we got this group, because when we get to that point, we're gonna need some help. I can see that, but that would be interesting, Rob. I mean, Rich would buy it instantly. If you said buy a Raspberry Pi, you'd have it there the next day.
Yeah, well, yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. I'm just saying that could be hooked up independently to the 40-inch TV, while the computer that's down there now is hooked up to the 3 monitors.
Boy, oh boy,
You-
that would be good. But we'd have to have a program, a different version of Cats, or different layout or something like that on the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
yeah, you could use the S format on there, and we'd have the linear one on the 3. I think you could do it that way then. But using the train stat information from what it sounds like. Am I right, Rodney, or am I completely off on that?
No, you're right.
Okay.
But which would Rodney, with the duplicated one on the Raspberry Pi show like the actual like signals lined and all that too?
In that case, it's probably going to depend. I'm not sure about the signals.
Well, I think it would. The way my layout works, but I don't know as much about LCC, and I heard you guys using LCC, but I happen to use the boring old LocoNet, and when I turn a signal green or red, it sends a signal aspect. And actually, I'm using the newer ones, so it's not a turnout command. It's literally what they call a signal aspect command, of which there can be 9, but I won't bore you with that. But it sends a signal number, which is a head, and then it sends the aspect. So when it does that, that actually causes the signal to display that color, but that same message goes out on the network. So any other devices that are listening, like a second CATS, would see that and display it. That'd be my understanding.
Well, that,
I
it sounds like it
think,
would work. Go ahead.
yeah, I think if you guys are using LCC, I don't think Digitrax could do it for you, but I think if you're using LCC because it's generating the signal aspects and stuff, I think it might work. I'm and because you want the icons on the screen to change.
Right.
Right.
And I think LCC would do that for you. I haven't looked
Okay,
at
so
that
that's the
piece.
question I never thought to ask. So when you click it with your mouse, obviously your user interface in CATS, I mean Rodney Blacks as the
Mhm.
designer, when you click that button, that causes the icon to change color regardless of what the actual aspect is out on the field, as I understand it. So the fact that I commanded a green light may or may not affect the aspect on the screen. I missed that subtlety.
Yeah. But
Got it.
LCC um, can generate the information for what the aspect in the field is, and I think CATS picks that up if you set something right. I'm I'm being vague
That'd
here
be
because
worth
it's been a while.
that'd be worth knowing. I mean, that's useful. Hey guys, I'm gonna have to cut. My wife has got dinner ready for me, but I love talking to you all. I learned something from every one of you. I hope you have a great evening, and I'll talk to you later. It's always helpful. I'm gonna try not to miss any of these. It's too valuable. Thank you very much, all of
Mhm.
you.
What are
Thanks,
you having
Steve.
for What are you having for dinner?
That'll be roast beef au jus.
Ooh,
Oh boy, that sounds good.
It's
we'll be
good.
over.
All right, come on by. Talk to you later.
Have a great night, Steve. Good talking with you.
Yeah. Okay, so um, if you guys want to see a little bit more about terrain stat, on the CATS webpage, if you go down towards the bottom,
Okay.
there's a links to instructional videos. And 110, I think, gives you information, the basics on how tables work, the CATS tables. And so consequently, though, that's kind of the key to train stat there. And I don't remember if I've got a video that's purely on focuses on train stat or not. I'd have to go look through my videos again.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I've watched the tables one before, but I will go back and watch it again
Okay.
to see what's in there. But I'll read the manual as well. I'll take a good look at it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here's another one. Kintorski, you and I have brought up before, or you would ask me, and I wasn't sure. Rodney Black, can you have an OS chart based on the operating session if you're
oh yeah.
recording everything?
What you mean, a string chart?
Yes.
And the answer to that is yes as well.
Is it based off of, let me go to designer here, let me open it up. Is it based off of, sorry for my taking a moment. If they go to track end, it would be track ends if I had a block on here. There's like a station name for it. Is that something for that?
Okay, it is the string chart. Okay, it's not a program that I have given out, but the last time I tried it, it worked. In other words, it's not part of train stat or CATS.
Mm.
But what it does is it digests if you record a session, it will digest the session afterwards and it'll generate a string chart showing where a train was at what time, and it'll draw lines to connect the points, so to speak.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. See if we could actually do that or not.
Yeah, I've done it. It's something I did a couple decades ago, and so I'm really fuzzy on how it all works. I think I may have a short. It's not a manual like I've done for the other stuff, but I may have a description or something. It requires a file, which just basically tells you where the stations are on, and again on the chart that it generates. And I think it will figure out so that'd be the horizontal. On the vertical axis, you'll have the stations listed, and I think you need to tell it that, and you may need to tell it the trains that you're going to run, because there'll be different colors on the lines. And then I think it can figure out the how many ticks you need for time, for hours and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Is this, and now I'm gonna block here.
Mhm.
I'm just using this one right here. Is that like the value you would use for that? Yeah, I can zoom out here where it says
No.
station. No. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, it would be the station name. Yes.
Okay. So that is what because I do have them all labeled. I just wasn't sure if if that's what that was for or not. So okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good to know that that is doable then.
Yeah,
And you say it's a separate program, Rodney?
yeah.
Okay, is that something you created, or is that available, or what is that?
It's something I created.
Holy mackerel, that's really cool. Because on the prototype, when I was dispatching, the original CTC machines had it. When we went to the computer screens, they didn't have the string line graph, but the actual ones that were built by GRS back in the late 50s for the New York Central, and a lot of railroads had it, obviously. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It actually mechanical time motor running a paper graph is what it
Yes.
was.
Is a strip chart. Yes.
Yeah, and we, as a train dispatcher, we physically connected the lines, the dots, more or less. It actually, they had basically was an inkwell with a pen running across the screen, across the paper as the paper moved, and you could view 2 hours of paper. And when as it went along, you connected the dots more or less between the interlockings, and then put manually just wrote on it the train symbol as you went along. And it was really a handy thing to have to see what happened. And when you were second guessing what you did before, or there's whatever, to just review what happened. It was really,
Yeah.
really
Yeah. I went to where was it? It was the NMRA convention in Sacramento in 2011, I think it was. And you may not have known him, Steve Gust. He was a UP dispatcher trainer, and I knew him, and he was kind of like my mentor and my inspiration on writing cats. But anyway, he had a panel discussion of train dispatchers, and he brought a bunch of those strip charts, and he explained what they were on, because you could see when the I forget which relays, they were basically occupancy relay, when it went up and down, and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, he said you had to connect the dots with a ruler and a pencil.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah, that was a great, and obviously a computer can do anything if you program it now. That'd be a great thing to have, at least to see, to review a session when you ran it.
Yeah,
I would assume if you ran the same symbol over it, it would overwrite the old one, though. That'd be a condition of it, I would assume, right? If you hypothetically use one symbol and use the same symbol again on the train, that would overwrite and wipe out the first set of information, I would assume, right?
no, no, because it's ordered by time.
Or it wouldn't, so it would put it in multiple spots. Like when one train went by an interlock, and an hour later it came by it the other way, that would show the different. It would keep both of them then, huh?
Yep,
Oh, really? That's even better.
yep.
Yeah, because as he said, Rod, it's all time based. So all it's looking at is what time it goes by the OS. So
Okay. Yeah,
that's
but I'm just
I know
wondering.
I know what you're saying, but yeah, but I know exactly what Rodney Black's staying there.
Yeah,
Totally
I'm
understand.
just wondering, Rob, just make an assumption there that you had a training in interlocking and you were just making a pickup with off the siding and you zigzagged through there one time. The engine came off light, then it went light back through the interlocking to the siding, then it grabbed the cars, pulled through the interlocking again, and then tied back on again. It went through the interlocking 4 times. I wonder how the system would react trying to draw a line with that. That's what I'm wondering.
It's okay. It's based on the station. Again, this is, and it's based upon the train stat work. So the information that CAT sends to and records, it'll say that at this time, this train was at this station. And if you're, and so you may find that the line would, okay, and I forget how it looks for when it's moved. And if it moved off of the station, quote, your interlocking would be a station name. If it moved off of it, then it's not going to do anything until it gets into another station. So the line is going to show it at your interlocking until it reaches, the next station down the track. So if you're just drilling back and forth, you're going to get a flat line for a while.
Oh, you'd have a flat line against time going straight up. Right.
Okay, time runs from left to right, whereas the stations are on the vertical axis, so they'll go from, like east to west, going from top to bottom.
Right. Okay. That's just a matter of getting used to how it's displayed. Right.
Yeah.
Because I know when we had this graph dispatching, time was on the vertical and going across was the locations.
Yeah. So this would be, yeah. So it's the axes are reversed.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough to just get used to reading it. That's all.
Yep. And what it did is it spit it out. It generated basically a picture on your screen.
Oh, that's really cool.
So then what you'd have, it's so your string chart would be on the screen. Then you have to do a screen capture to, save it.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Rob, that sounds like you'll have a lot of work to do there once it starts working now, Rob.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's great stuff. I mean, I really enjoy tinkering with the program and everything, getting down to the nuts and bolts stuff on here. So it's right up my alley. It's the same thing with like us trying to dissect LCC down to the nuts and bolts like we have. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and we've done really good with that, I think.
Yeah, yeah, we have. I mean, we've done a great job integrating both, LCC and CATs, so at least I think we have. But
Yeah.
But yeah, this is something else for me to look into, and because I'm not going to be programming our next section for probably a good 4 months, so I got plenty of time to read up on this and see what I can learn about it.
Yeah, no, that's cool because if obviously at some point we'll have the layout complete, and then we can keep adding on. You keep adding ideas together to get the different things you want to do. I like that idea of printing a chart like that, or looking at the chart because the way we operate, I'd love to see all the meets and all that. You could tell right away what was going on.
Yeah. I'll have to. What I'd like to do is maybe I'll see if I can generate one before November, and that next call I can show it up. I've got to find the code first. I know it's there somewhere. I looked at it maybe a couple years ago. I'll have to see if I can find it. And it wasn't too hard to do things with. It'll require a configuration file, but somewhere I've documented all that. I just got to find it.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be just great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, Rodney. I mean, for like what King Torsi said, for us being able to print something out like that, we would have hours of discussion. If we're able to have something like that, because he and I just like dissecting those kinds of things. So yeah, we would have a blast doing that.
Yeah, well, the whole idea then was so that you can analyze a session after you're done and say, we need to we need to adjust the schedule. For example, we need to run this train before that one, or you can ignore this because the operator kept running through the turnouts backwards and derailing, so it took him twice as long to be at this at this switching spot than he should have been, and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you could do with that. I mean, it's just like we just like to just have, because we'll reminisce about a session, talking about it. We'll have a lot of laughs, but having seen a graphic display of it would be awesome. That's great.
Yeah, if it was ever possible to have that, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. What, out of curiosity, Rodney, with the graphic display with something like that, though, what happens if you have a session that goes really a considerable amount of fast time, let's say, it would all get too compressed or something like that, wouldn't it? Or would it be spread out to scroll through it?
It'll be a picture that's very wide. Actually,
Oh,
no, no. What it does is okay, yeah, you're trying to shake some cobwebs out of my brain here. What it does is it looks at the starting time and it
yeah.
looks at the ending time and it figures out how many hours, minutes, whatever, and it breaks it up, and basically it'll make it fit on a window, and I don't remember how wide the window is. So if if you run for only 2 hours, it'll be stretched out. If you run for 8 hours, it'll be compressed. So yeah, it'll be compressed.
Okay. Okay, because yeah, I figured because eventually that brings up another question, and I'm sure this, if you have a fast time clock, that can be incorporated somehow, right?
Yes.
Okay, I figured that. Yeah, so I mean, I just because the layout we got is set to 6-to-1 ratio eventually. So
Yeah. And now you're going to ask me where. Um, I think. Yeah, I'd have to look. But yeah, when I was doing cats will also log hours of service, and you could specify whether the hours of service were real time or fast clock.
okay, all right. So it does look at a fast clock. Is it possible to display I mean, you might have that in there already. The design to display the fast clock on the dispatcher screen, or no?
Yeah, you just use JMRI fast clock.
And cats will project that.
Cats doesn't know anything about it.
Okay, but we can, yeah, but we can put it on a cat's display or no?
Yes.
Like,
Hmm.
okay, because that we'll have to figure that out eventually, Rob.
Yeah, I'm already looking here to see how I can possibly do that.
Well,
Already
that isn't
looking.
necessary right away, but
No, no. Oh, yeah.
it's a goal,
Right,
probably.
right. No, I see it under GMRI, like in tools roster, stuff like that. It's under tools, clocks, and set up fast clock.
Yeah. And so it goes on the screen. Um, Now you may have to shrink the real estate that Cats uses down, so that you can put the fast clock, like down in the right hand corner or something like that.
Right, right.
Otherwise, I think Cats, when it gets active, it might step on top of the fast clock.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But since we're gonna go 3 screens, we'll have plenty of room there when that for a dispatcher display to have a fast clock on there someplace.
Yep.
Yeah, because I figure for us, having 3 screens across, and I can have the lineup out there, or the not even necessarily that, the lineup, and then I can see what trains need to be, if I need to grab one and then place it, I can do that.
Right. I can see a lot of potential for, as time goes on, once we get the nuts and bolts operating, with just the signals and all that, how you can keep building right onto it. It sounds great.
Yeah, there's a lot more things that you can do, Rod, that we haven't gotten into. That
Right.
Rodney's put on the program here. You know,
Yeah.
in terms of trains or jobs or stuff like that. You know, mainly trains for the lineup and whatnot. You know, and then for us positioning a train, like say coming out of Perlman Yard. You know, you can position them at CP 62 or not CP 62 at 62Y. You know, and then when the occupancy gets there, it'll just pick it up and take off with it. You know,
Right. Okay.
that's like the main thing we want, and we can do that now. So, but it's
Yeah.
it's just a matter of me entering all of our symbols on the lineup more than
Right.
anything.
Right. And then yeah, and then we can build off of that. Right.
Correct. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Or put RFID readers on your yard tracks or something like that, and RFID chips in your end locomotives, and let cats do it.
Yeah, big AI readers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess yeah, that you could do I guess you could do that. But we got so many people that come over, Rodney, to our layout that just like want to test out their equipment and run it and all that. And you'd have to have, if you to have an RFID chip on every engine right now would probably be impractical, but it's still a great thought, though. I mean, eventually you could probably do something like that.
Okay. So what would happen then is that if you had foreign equipment, then you have to do it by manually. But if you're running your own equipment, then you let the system position the train.
Well, that's kind of cool, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Holy mackerel! What the RFD chips? I mean, obviously they're real small, right?
Yeah, they're about the size of a grain of rice.
Okay. Oh, okay. And the readers obviously are probably pretty small too, right?
Yep.
Well, that's good to know. Holy mackerel. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to Seth Newman out in California once, and what he wanted to do is just put the RFID chips where the trains enter his layout, and that way he didn't have to position them by hand. And so you bring a train off out of staging, as soon as it hits the visible part of the layout, CATS picks it up, and you only need the RFID readers at the ends where you enter and exit the layout, and then the rest of the detection stuff, CATS works just like always.
Okay. And that would throw the symbol right up there. I gotcha.
Yep, that throws the symbol up.
Okay. It's another option down the road to think about.
Is there anything else you wanted to ask him, Rodney? Or was that pretty much everything?
That's pretty much I can think of for this month. Yeah. I can't think of anything else. It was another interesting call, though. I'll tell you that.
That's why we do these.
Yeah, it's been a good stretch of these lately.
I wish Steve would have took a picture of his dinner. I would like to seen that. So
I do have a picture of his layout up, by the way. Let's see, where is it here? Let me go back to it. Of his expansion. Go back. Let's see here. Come on, where's it? Yeah, somebody. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, I'll make this. Go back. There it is. That's like his new one.
Wow.
holy mackerel, man.
There. That's what he's working on now.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be pretty wild when it's in there. They had their last operating session like last weekend or the weekend before, and now it's down. It's out of service. So I wanted to bring that up while he was on, but we didn't get a chance to. But So yeah, that's what he's doing. It's really impressive.
Sure is. Rodney, you mentioned John Parker's layout before, the way you talked to. Did you go over there recently or no?
John lives 35 minutes from my house.
Okay.
And so he's kind of like my beta test. So whenever I do code changes and stuff like that, I like to put it on his lap and run it and shake the bugs out of it and stuff like that over there. And he's been very nice about letting me do that.
Oh,
So
so
yeah,
cool. That's cool. So you go over there in a non-operating session, just a test session. So you just visit there.
I can, except we usually do it and I usually give it to him and he puts it on his system and we usually run it hot, real time in his first on a session.
Oh,
I
cool.
I'm part of like I've been fortunate. He usually gives me a call when he runs an operating session. He usually does one about once a month.
Oh, that's great. So does he do you actually take a position as part of the operators, or you just like to be an observer and look at how the system's working?
I am usually an operator. I dispatch on it about once every 2 years, simply because the order in which he does the crew draw, and I'd use the I'm traffic manager often about every third or fourth month, something like that. And I can watch the monitor that shadows his dispatcher screen, so I can see what the dispatchers are doing and get an idea of how things are running.
Oh, that's pretty neat. That's
So,
neat.
so you're one of his regulars then.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember listening to a podcast and he was talking. He says, "Yeah, I got about 5 or 6 people that have helped me out a lot, and they pretty much get an invite every month." And I was wondering if you were far enough up the food chain, that you're one of the few. So that's pretty awesome.
yeah, it really is.
And it's a great layout to be testing your software on. If
Oh,
it'll run there, it'll probably run everywhere.
yeah,
That's quite a different from our buddy's house there. Our buddy's house that owns the layout, his name is Rich, and a lot of it's crazy, and it would never. People invite themselves over there. He says they were coming. If they call him up and say we're coming over to operate the layout, and he says I'm watching TV. Go do what you want, and people will go down there and operate his layout, and he's upstairs watching TV.
yeah. I've heard of other of layout owners doing the same thing, but it's usually not cool to have somebody invite himself over. That
I know you'd have to know the personalities involved, and it really it fits in. It's just funny how it evolved. It's just
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
I know.
Rodney. There's people over there all the time. I mean, we call it the frat house, and it's been that way for geez, probably 15 years now. And people will be over there. I mean, Kantorski and I have been over there when he's not even home, and we're doing testing and whatnot. Actually, it's a good time for us to be doing that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But there's been times we're over there, and all of a sudden, 3 or 4 guys will show up at 9:30 p.m. and a pickup game will break out. We'll operate till 1, 2 in the morning. We've had that happen before.
Hmm.
Just that's people ask us, when do you operate, and it's like 24/7. It's never closed. We can always run. It's just the way our car cards, our way bills are set up and all that. I mean, it takes us only 10 minutes to get our sessions ready, and we just go off we go. So I mean, we're kind of weird in that sense. We just can run pretty much any time we want. We don't have a set day or time or anything like that.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Yes, that's the perfect word for it, is unique. Yes.
And Rich is real receptive, basically, to all that stuff. He'd just tell you, "I'm going to bed early." He goes to bed right in the middle of an operating session. It's crazy.
Rodney Blake, he's extremely laid back.
Yeah,
So he's the perfect personality to be the owner of the layout in the house, basically.
Yeah, it's turn off the lights when you guys leave.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And that's happened numerous times before.
But well, I guess we got had enough for this one. I'm probably gonna go over to Rich's house now to try and work on part of the project here, you know, and he'll go to bed when I'm working on it. You know, I come over there. And,
Tell
come on
Rodney
over.
what you're working on tonight.
Well,
And see, he'll probably understand it. I mean, he's a
Well-
smart enough guy.
yeah, I know, but it's what I'm doing is I'm just hardwiring each of the zones that we have the LCC components on. Where I'm putting tonight, we got a little tiny relay. Believe it or not, we use a relay that disconnects the control of the switches from a local panel to the cats or whatever. And the way we're setting it up is I'm installing all these as we go along. And when we switch to CTC, LCC sees that and it drops all the relays. They're just 6 tiny relays will be ultimately on the railroad where I'm putting the 5th one in tonight. And it drops out and the panels turn on when we go to ABS. And when you turn it on, the relay energizes, it goes to cats, it turns off all the panels, and then it runs CTC. And that's just the way we decided to do it. You know, there's multiple ways to do it with LCC, but you know, we discussed what we thought we liked the best, and then we went with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So basically, it's to disable fuel control of turnouts.
That's basically what it is. Yeah, that's really exactly what it is. And then, and it actually the system, if LCC was even turned off, and the relay would drop out then on all of them, and you'd still have control of the switches, just no, you would just see no signal indications. It would just be dark. I mean, you could actually still operate if you wanted to that way.
Yep.
But well, before I go, what Steve Black's got to say hi just a minute there, unless he's sleeping.
Well, yeah, unless we've put him to sleep the last hour and a half.
He might, I see his mic. There he is.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying listening to everybody. Been working on some LCC stuff here while we've been talking. So,
Oh, you have? Okay, cool.
yeah.
And how's the LCC going, Steve? Pretty good? Okay, or?
Yeah, I've got it working pretty good. I installed some new mass signals on the layout, and I couldn't believe it. Of all the signals, I wanted to duplicate this one signal, you know, make them both 2 masts do the same thing. And the LEDs are different enough where the one mast, the green wouldn't light up and the other mast would. So while we've been talking, I cut the wire to the one mast and found another port or another, you know, aspect rule to get it wired up. It's just a weird thing.
Okay, because it almost sounds like you were feeding 2 LEDs off the same opening. Is that our port?
Yeah, and when I was testing, it worked fine because both LEDs were the same. And
Oh yeah.
I ordered some new masts and they came in and the green is not the same as the older ones. So when I got installed and was checking it out, I couldn't get the green to light up on one of the masts. So anyway, that's what I've been working. I got it going. It just kind of surprised me.
Oh yeah. No, I can see how that would happen because
Because I'm not using resistors. I'm going right from the signal LCC board right to the LEDs. And well, evidently there's enough difference between the old green LED and the new green LED that the old one wouldn't light up.
yeah, I know because you obviously you know about turning up the intensity of the light. So, but that wouldn't help because one would be just over bright then.
Yeah, I tried that.
Yeah, that
and
wouldn't work.
When that didn't work up, I decided, well, I need to cut a wire and get another, use one of the other lamps.
Right,
Which I did. It's working.
cool, okay.
Yeah.
But, well, okay, that was a great call. I'm gonna hang up now, so, but
Yep, I gotta get going as well, but an absolute pleasure talking with you as always, Rodney.
Mhm.
Learned a lot tonight, as
Yeah,
always, so.
And the beauty is, since it's recorded in about a week, you can come back, and if you didn't understand something, you can replay it. And
Yep. I actually went back and replayed last month's and August's on Tuesday, getting prepped for tonight. So it works out really well, for sure. And like what you told Steve Davis last month, somebody may find it useful, years from now, and having it on YouTube, is a big help there. So, but
yeah, it is.
but all right, well,
Okay.
like I said, a pleasure as always, and we'll talk with you next month then.
okay,
Okay, we'll see you later. See
Everybody.
ya, Rodney. See you, Steve.
Bye.
Have a good
Talk to
night,
you later, Rob.
Steve. Take care.
Good
Bye,
night.
guys.
Okay, bye-bye.